Good Tuesday afternoon, and thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Lauren Lemanchek. Happening right now, rain is moving across the metro, and some of you could see it through the afternoon, triggering a KARE 11 weather impact alert day. You'll also notice some of that wildfire smoke from Canada lingering around the area. Now, that is causing our air quality to plummet. Take a look at the air quality map, and you can see the Twin Cities in the bullseye of the unhealthy category. Air quality concerns will linger until tomorrow morning. And we'll check in with our weather team in just a bit for your full forecast. Developing right now in Minneapolis, a possible ice raid on East Lake Street and Bloomington. This is video from that scene, and you can see dozens of people standing out in the rain, all focused on a building at that location. These pictures are from City Council member Jason Chavez, who said on X that Minneapolis police assisted with closing off the area and that the Hennepin County Sheriff has been helping with the incident as well. According to Minneapolis police, they were not involved in this situation or given any advance notice of the operations in South Minneapolis. They were only brought in for crowd control. We do have a crew on the scene there gathering details, so stick with KARE 11 Plus for any details we get throughout the day. At the state capitol, still no word this afternoon on when lawmakers will return for a special session to finish the budget. They have to finish by July 1st to avoid a government shutdown. Governor Tim Walz is expected to meet with legislative leaders in just a matter of hours. They're hoping Walz can call that special session tomorrow. This week, the U.S. could see a major breakthrough in trade talks with China. President Trump is expected to have a direct phone conversation with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Right now, the two countries are at an impasse when it comes to trade. The U.S. is accusing China of dragging its feet on certain rare earth mineral export restrictions. Because of that, Washington's now revoking visas for Chinese students and restricting the sale of certain software to China. Tensions between the two countries are jeopardizing those talks and the chance of any tariffs being lifted from either country. Now, President Trump's 50% tariff on steel and aluminum is set to take effect tomorrow. Christine Romans has more details and the impact it could have on you.
President Trump pushing on two of his top priorities, urging Republicans to pass his major spending bill and forging ahead with his multi-front trade war. The president late Monday posting online that without the ability to counter tariffs from other nations, our country doesn't have even a small chance of economic survival. And yesterday, the White House asking multiple courts to keep the strict tariffs against many U.S. trading partners in place amid legal battles that may end up in the Supreme Court. And the president's latest round on steel set to go into effect tomorrow that analysts say will drive up prices for metal used to make housing, cars, appliances, and more.
Steel workers are very happy. We did the tariffs.
Even as this morning, a group representing 38 countries, including the U.S., sharply cutting its forecast for U.S. economic growth because of tariff uncertainty. As Trump manages international talks on the tariffs, he's also facing delicate negotiations here at home over his signature spending bill. Some Republican senators threatening to hold up the so-called big, beautiful bill because it adds to the debt.
It's just not a conservative thing to do, and I've told them I can't support the bill if they're together.
And as Democrats say Americans will lose Medicaid coverage, the bill's supporters pressed. Here's Republican Senator Joni Ernst in a contentious town hall last week, saying the only cuts will be for people who shouldn't be covered in the first place.
They are not eligible, so they will be coming off. So people are not, well, we all are going to die.
Ernst later doubling down.
And I'm really, really glad that I did not have to bring up the subject of the tooth fairy as well.
But yesterday, clarifying.
I'm very compassionate, and you need to listen to the entire conversation.
Do you have any
Can you explain
your
protect the most vulnerable?
Some community members calling for more safety measures after that deadly shooting at Boom Island Park this weekend. Police Chief Brian O'Hara compared the scene to a war zone. There have been no arrests in the case yet. We now know the person who was shot and killed was Stagina Whiting. The 23-year-old from Brooklyn Center was shot in the torso, according to the medical examiner. Police say 5 others were shot as well Sunday night on Bloom Island, and another person was not shot but was hurt in the chaos. Among the new calls for peace, a Minneapolis council member says he's asked for the parking lot to close every night at 8 as long as it's necessary. Today, the Anoka County Sheriff's Office says it's ramping up its search for a missing 16-year-old. Officials have said they believe Manny Collins was taken against his will. The Sheriff's Office says they're considering a larger search for him and will reach out to the public if needed. The department also says detectives are testing new evidence and interviewing more people. Anyone with information is asked to call the BCA. A local center that houses teens and young adults and helps them find jobs says it's closing with just days' notice. Now, they say this is the result of a federal funding pause. Kent caught up with some of the 160 students and 100 staff members who are wondering what comes next.
For 44 years, the Hubert H. Humphrey Job Corps Center in St. Paul has been a source of hope for teens and young adults in desperate need of it.
I was put out the house when I was 18, legally an adult. I was homeless for a while, and then I found Job Corps.
19-year-old Israel Willis says it brought him stable housing, and he was on track for a stable job through the Transportation Communication Union until those plans were suddenly derailed for he and 160 other students here.
The government shutting down the program is cutting my plans short, and now I'm not sure what I'm going to do next.
19-year-old Abdel Salam came here from New York and had hoped to complete his training for a job in the sign and display trade. Now, he simply hopes to find housing.
They're helping us with shelters for those that don't have anywhere to go. And they're trying to get us to stay on center as long as possible until we figure something out.
I know there's a few dozen students here who legitimately have nowhere to go. So that's thousands of students nationally that are all being dumped within a week.
Though the Department of Labor only announced a phased pause in operations by June 30th, the contractors running this center say their services have been terminated.
It hurts. But the other thing, too, is I'm looking at what this country needs. This country needs skilled workers. Where are they going to get those workers? This is what we do.
The Department of Labor says the decision comes in response to serious incident reports nationally and a fiscal analysis that found the program operated at a $140 million deficit last year, while averaging a graduation rate of just 38.6%, a cost per student of more than $80,000, and post-separation earnings of less than $17,000 a year.
It's misinformation.
Christopher Kewen is adamant the center here is both safe and effective.
Job Corps has a very high graduation rate. It's about 60% of students that come through the program. Their starting average wage is $17 an hour, which is significantly higher than what was reported, and also more than double what the minimum wage is.
It sounds like you're disputing pretty much every single figure that was released.
Pretty much.
So they're just flat out wrong?
Flat out wrong.
I can agree that there's room for improvement from a student perspective, but it's impossible to say it's a failed experiment when you have people in my trade and sign and display who have earned as much as $46 an hour.
Andrew McGregor says he feels lucky to have completed his training, but says the experience here was even more valuable.
This is the first time in a decade that I've had the same roof over my head for a year. That in itself has let me have opportunity for growth, getting to know myself, growing physically, mentally, spiritually to a better place than I've ever been. So I just hope that there's reform and restructure so that a program like this can offer that same opportunity to others.
Now, that pause also means roughly 100 staff members in St. Paul could soon be out of jobs. Students did get a short extension until June 12th before they have to be out, meaning there are still a few more days to try and find them a place to land. New today, we know the players that will be staying with the Minnesota Frost next season. The Frost announcing they're protecting Kendall Coyne Schofield, Taylor Heiss, and Lee Steckline. All 6 of the inaugural PWHL teams can protect 3 players from the upcoming expansion draft that will introduce PWHL Seattle and Vancouver. Stick with us. We have more news and weather coming up after the break.